Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be doing part 2 of the Kaiju Universe Beginner's Guide. So if you haven't watched part 1 yet, you can watch that first, but it doesn't really matter because I'm going to be doing that top 10 Kaiju to buy when you're a beginner or somewhat newer to the game. So, what I say may not be entirely true. I am not a pro at the game, so take what I say with a grain of salt, because, yeah, like I said, I'm not a pro. So, let's get into it. So my main idea for picking these is for them to be cheap and easy to use. And so that's why for number 1 I picked the male M.U.T.O because it's very cheap. It's 3,500 G cells, which if you first starting the game may seem like a lot, but in reality it's not very hard to get. If you're just started, I suggest just attacking everybody and even don't care if you die, because you'll get a ton of G cells. So anyway, yeah. He has some pretty simple attacks. They're mostly just him slamming with his fists, or whatever these things are. And this is the first kaiju and the cheapest way to get access to flight. So if you really want to fly in this game, I suggest you buy this guy first. He's pretty weak, he's pretty weak once you get later, but for a starter kaiju, he's pretty good. So male Mewtwo is my pick for number 1. For number 9 on this list, I picked Kumonga. So I picked this Spooter Boy because he's, once again, cheap, only 4,000 G cells, and yeah, has some cool attacks and is pretty easy to use. And he's been remodeled, so yeah, he's pretty snazzy, unlike the male M.U.T.O, which is still waiting to get his. So you get some cool attacks, like you just have your regular, just like bite, you know, just try spring forward, with a jump attack, and you have a beam, which is always useful to have. And yeah, if you get to level 50, you also unlock some cool dance as well. And another bonus is you can jump high if you're into that. So yeah, this fast Spooter makes it here because he just packs a lot in for his price. For number 8 on this list, I picked Titanosaurus. So I put him here because he does cost a little bit more than the others at 12,500, but still honestly not that much in the grand scheme of things. But he has some simple attacks like that, but that's actually he has one simple attack. The other ones can be a bit harder to use because they're like these gusts. And then he has a beam, of course, which can be pretty powerful. And one of the best things about him is that he can jump like a maniac. Look at that. So, yeah. Most Titanosauruses are pretty toxic. But yeah, he's pretty good. But the reason he's lower than some of the other ones is because he's just kind of harder to use and not as easy. But he's still a very good kaiju for the price. And a fun bonus you get with him is, if it would work, there we go. With his V move, you can change colors based off of your surroundings, which is kind of cool. So yeah, this interesting kaiju gets number 8 on this list. Alright, for number 7 on this list, I've picked Final Wars Godzilla. So, this one is a little less expensive than Titanosaurus. It's 11,800 G cells, and it's pretty old, and this one kaiju needs a remodel pretty soon. But like I said that I want these the kaiju on this list to be. It's very simple to use. It has 2 melee attacks, like the slash and the tail swipe, and it's one of the few kaiju in this game that have 2 beams. And the first one is just your default atomic breath, which has a cool charge up. Lasts for 300 times. And yeah, it also has a second one, which, yeah, it's the spiral breath, which is just more, it costs more charge, but it's more powerful. And it looks like this. So yeah, simple and effective kaiju, and Final Wars is often underestimated, as you don't see too many that often, but yeah, pretty solid. So let's move on to the next one now. For number 6, we have female M.U.T.O. So unlike the male counterpart, the female has gotten remodeled fairly recently. I guess it was last year, but still. So it looks a lot nicer and has a lot more fancy and snazzy attacks. So yeah, the reason this one isn't that high, the reason this one isn't higher than it is, because it's a really good kaiju, is because it has a ton of attacks and it's kind of hard to keep track of them sometimes. But anyway, so there's just default slash, pounce forward, charge forward, and then dash. And there's also a V move, which charges the EMP. Watch if you use it. Charge up that attack. And then once you're ready, you can use the EMP, which steals charge from the So yeah, the reason it's not higher is because it's a little complicated to use, but this one's actually, yeah, it's still pretty good, and really good for farming actually, so you might want to use this if you want to save up some G cells for some of the more expensive ones on this list. And I believe this one is around, let me check, small intermission, 7,000 G cells. So yeah, not very expensive at all. So I suggest you pick this one up if you're looking for a kaiju to farm with. On to the next one. For number 5, I decided to go with Millenium Godzilla. So I've picked this one because it's, like I said, pretty simple to use, but pretty difficult to master. I feel like if you're pretty new to the game, this one would be hard to get really good with, but even if you're not a pro, you can still be pretty destructive with this kaiju, as it's often referred to as the nuke, because it can do this. Wait for it. Boom. Destroys everything. So yeah, this guy has a cost of 20,000 G cells, and while that may seem like a lot, like I said, it isn't really that much. I suggest buying one of the lower ones on the list and then saving up to get some of the more expensive ones at the top. So yeah, he has 2 simpler attacks, the tail swipe and the scratch, and he also has another insane charging attack, which is destructive beam. When you hit the new camera shake, that's so cool. So yep, for halfway up this list, I picked Millenium Godzilla. For number 4 on this list, I've decided to go with the Flaming Turkey Boy, Heisei Rodan. So the reason he's here is because for the price of only 10,000 G cells, you get one of the best flying kaiju in the game. So yeah, he has, in the air, he's mostly the best. On the ground, he can only use 2 attacks, which is the peck and this little, like, dust cloud. But in the air, those attacks change a bit. Peck's that, and he does a little swipe with his toes. And then you get to use these attacks too in the air. There's a supersonic dive, which I just slammed his beak into the ground. Sorry, bro, that kinda hurt. And his spin. And there's also a 5th attack, which you unlock when you get to a level 50, which is his beam, which is honestly why he's this high up. So you could technically interchange this guy with the last one, Millenium Godzilla, because without the beam, he really isn't as good, but with the beam, he's, like I said, one of the best flying kaiju in the game. So yeah, you can interchange this one with the last one, but yeah, for the price, this is really solid kaiju. So that's why I picked him for number 4. For number 3 on this list, I picked Shin Godzilla. So the reason I picked this dude is because he's only 25,000 G cells and you get a huge package. Now he is pretty difficult to use compared to some of the other ones on this list. But the only reason I'm putting him on here is just because, like, if you're a beginner and you get this much G cells, you can get this like really cool kaiju that has a ton of cool attacks. But yeah, even if you're not that good with him, honestly, you can still be pretty good, just like Millenium Godzilla. But yeah, so you get like a ton of stuff. Like your default attacks, back beams, the cool breath attack that starts out like fire, and then after that you can get to use the beam. Super powerful. And you also got that cool tail attack. Literally just lightsabers his tail. But yeah, if you want to see more on this guy, I recently put a review video on him because, well, this just came out like 2 weeks ago at the time this video comes out. So yeah, Shin Godzilla makes it here just because you get a huge package for a low price. So if you're a beginner but you feel like you're ready for something like this, he's here. Alright, on to the next one. For number 2 on this list, I picked Titanosaurus. So similar to Shin Godzilla, this one is pretty complicated to use, but like before, it's really cheap and you get a ton. I believe this is only like 8,000 something G cells, which is that's just insanely low price for what you're getting here. So yeah, you have a bunch of these attacks, and most of them are easier to use in the air. Dive. I'll show the UI right now. Your spitball, and the V move allows you to use the most annoying blind attack. So yeah, I also have a pretty recent video on this because this one didn't come out too long ago either. So yeah, if you want to see more, just check my channel, it will pop up. So yeah, once again, actually before I go on, another reason I picked this one here is, even though this is a beginner list, I'm pretty sure this is still one of the best kaiju in the game at the moment, especially at higher levels, just because of how small its hitbox is, if that did get fixed, and its attacks are just like really tactical. So yeah, similar to Shin Godzilla, if you're like starting to go and become a pro, just pick this guy up, or just pick him up anyway. Like she's like one of the best in the game, so that's why it's up on number 2 of this list. So let's move on to numero uno. Before we get to our top pick, I'd like to set Godzilla 2019 as the honorable mention, just because it's like, I really don't recommend it right now, but I suggest you buy it because it's only 9,500 G cells at the moment, and as we all know, the remodel is coming very soon at the time of this video launching. So I suggest that you buy this guy now, so that you have him when it gets remodeled and the requirements or prices skyrockets. So I mean, he still is pretty good. His attacks are pretty powerful. It just doesn't look very good. You have your beam. So yeah, I guess it's still pretty good. Just like, I wouldn't put it on this list if it was me. But yeah, just remember to buy your Godzilla 2019 before you remodel. Alright, now to the number 1 pick. At last, the number 1 kaiju on this list goes to, drumroll please, video rips over. So the reason I picked this guy for the #1 spot is just because it used to be a lower price. They used to be like 7,000, but now it's 20,000. But even for that price, this is like the most just simple but powerful kaiju that a beginner will easily be able to use. It has a pretty decent speed, has some pretty decent health. Mine's a level 63. 63. I haven't even used all my skill points on health, because this was one of the beginner kaijus I used on this account. And yeah, its attacks are just really good for just simple and just destructive. Like you got your Claw Shred, Titanic Impact, which is oh, that was like the glitch version. Titanic Impact, which is super good for farming, like just buildings. You got your Stomp, yes, useful in combat, and you got the Beam. It looks super cool. And you got some of the best roars in the game, which I already played one. I'm not going to play it again. I'll play one at the end. But anyway, I feel like Godzilla 2014 is totally deserving of the top pickup here. But, like I said before, I suggest you get one of the cheaper ones on this list and then move up to get some of the more expensive ones. Just so it's like you're not just sitting there with your star Gojira just grinding for the top kaiju. So, yep. #1 on this list goes to Godzilla 2014. Alright guys, that's going to wrap it up for today. Thank you guys a ton for watching this video. And comment down below what you would put as your top beginner kaiju, or if you agree with my list or not. Anyway, this is NJ4W. Peace. Have a good rest of your day, night, wherever you're at. Bye-bye.